Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Channeling Hallmark, the podcast where we talk about all the things that make us feel warm and cozy, like when you look outside and you see the first snow of the year. I'm your host, Dylan Cashbaugh.
And I'm your other host, Keetin Markey. And as we've been talking about all month, December is the number one month where couples get engaged. So we've been kind of keeping a wedding theme to this month's movies and this month's guest. Today, we're actually going to be reviewing Mismatched and talking to a pretty badass boss lady, in my opinion, who helps plan and film weddings in the Los Angeles area and, around the country.
But before we get into that, let's drink some tea. What do you say, Keetin?
Oh, absolutely. So we and everyone else in Los Angeles is still dealing with these terrible fires and horrible air quality. So there is a Yogi Throat Comfort tea that we decided to drink today. It's pretty delicious. It's organic. It's caffeine free. Can I hear a little bit of it, Dylan? Is it too hot for me?
It is
still?
a little hot still.
Okay.
It's a hot tea.
It's hot tea.
The best kind of tea is hot tea.
Yes.
But it does taste good. It does feel soothing. Honestly, I don't even know how to describe the flavor other than comfort.
Yeah, it feels like it wraps it's like a warm hug around my tongue and then on my throat. It kind of coats it, which is probably why it's called throat comfort, or it probably tastes a lot like the throat coat.
Wow.
Yeah.
A warm hug for your throat. Let's talk about warm hugs for your brain.
Oh.
What Sorry, that was a weird transition.
Is that your new definition for hot cocoa?
It
warm
could be.
Warm hugs for your brain?
Here on Channeling Hallmark, we don't spill the tea. We sip the hot cocoa, and sometimes that hot cocoa feels like a warm hug for your brain. Mm-hmm. But my hot cocoa for this week has to do with the day this episode comes out, because this episode is releasing on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I learned something new about him recently, and that he is a big Star Trek fan. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So, fun fact, he once met Nichelle Nichols, who plays Uhura, and told her that it was the only show he let his kids stay up past their bedtime to watch. He actually told her that it gave him hope that he saw people who looked like him in the 23rd century being welcomed and accepted. And when she met him, she was considering quitting the show, but hearing that from him inspired her to keep going, so she stuck around, and now Star Trek is what it is today. And Martin Luther King's legacy is what it is today.
Obviously, we have Martin Luther King Jr. Day because he was such a trailblazer for civil rights. And, she was a huge trailblazer, too, for Black women on television and coming into people's living rooms every night. And I'm so glad that she stuck that out, because I don't think we would have the diverse television scene that we have today without women like her being brave, sticking it out, and being kind of a face of a movement and of change and breaking those glass ceilings. Yeah. Thank you, Nichelle Nichols.
So, Keetin, what's your hot cocoa?
My hot cocoa has to do with kind of these ongoing fires in Los Angeles. We were lucky enough not to have to evacuate, but a lot of friends, acquaintances, people across the city have had to evacuate, have not had places to go. And I saw an acquaintance and somebody that I had worked with that just needed storage space. And so I was just like, we have a garage. You can put your stuff in our garage. And so they brought their stuff over, put it in our garage. And I was just like, if you guys need anything else, I know we don't know each other that well, but just know we are here. We have a safe place, shower, laundry, if you just, need a couch to crash on. And later that night, we got a text around 9:30 being like, our housing fell through. Is that couch still available, basically? And, Dylan and I kind of looked at each other and we're like, we don't know these people that well, but they seem like really lovely humans. And we would want somebody to do the same for us. So sure. So we were like, as long as you're cool with a blow up mattress in my husband's office and one bathroom to share, we got you. And they came over and crashed that night and kind of have been in and out over the past couple of days. And we've had some really incredible conversations with them. We've really been able to kind of process this together. And, I feel like potentially we have new friends for life now, just by us being like, yeah, let's help a neighbor. And I'm so grateful that they asked and weren't scared to ask. And, I hope we can help more people as this tragedy unfolds, and just help your fellow neighbor. You don't know what doors it might open. And I'm just grateful we were able to help in a small way. So that's my hot cocoa.
As sappy as it sounds, sometimes it does seem like when you help others, you're the one that comes out ahead because of it. So this felt like one of those situations, because we got some new friends, and I think they're awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So are you ready to talk about this week's movie, Keetin?
I am. I'm ready for a nice distraction.
Great. Then tell me all about Mismatched.
Mismatched is about wedding planner Libby, who is at the most important event of her year, the bridal expo, and even better, she runs into Ben, a hunky guy she immediately falls for. But when she finds out that he's there to promote the idea of smaller weddings with smaller budgets, she shows just how much drama a 3-day bridal expo can be.
Starring Alexa Vega and Sean Roberts, this 2016 movie focuses heavily on the ups and downs of Libby and Ben's relationship. But given the amount of ups and downs they experience just over the 3-day bridal expo, followed by what seems like the most rushed wedding in cinematic history, do you find this relationship to be unbelievable to the point of toxicity? Or is it just a fun, quirky movie that gives us extreme situations to laugh at, and I'm taking this all far too seriously?
I don't know if we need to say toxicity. This is a Hallmark movie after all. But this was one of the worst Hallmark movies I have ever watched. And we love Hallmark movies to the point where we watch them constantly and do a podcast about them. And I hate to say that, I hate to be negative, but the pacing was all off.
Oh God, yes.
There was no chemistry between Alexa Vega and Sean Roberts, unfortunately. My favorite character and the person with the most charisma was her little like sidekick wedding coordinator friend. But it was rough. And now when I think of Mismatch, though, I have a giggle because we had fun watching it together, and we also could not believe the script was all over the place. And yeah. Anyways, I just remember in my notes being like, they're still at the bridal expo, and we were like an hour into the movie.
Yeah, I went back and checked for almost 60 minutes of the, I think, 84-minute runtime. So well over 2/3 of the movie is at that bridal expo. And you feel like you're at that bridal expo for that long because you get tired of being at that bridal expo.
You're trapped. It's like the budget was so low they could only use that one location.
Yeah, and we can talk through a lot of the little details, but one of the larger arching questions that I have is, what is the story behind this movie? Because I am convinced that there is no way that this was the movie that they set out to make, but maybe due to like budget or timing or something, this is what came out of it. And I just really want to know that story. I need the behind the scenes documentary for Mismatched. I think that would be so fascinating to watch.
We have to find somebody who worked on the film to kind of get the behind the scenes details. And even though we don't spill the tea on this podcast, normally we sip the hot cocoa, but I need that tea. I need that tea hard. So I used to work with our guests we're going to be interviewing later in the show as a wedding coordinator. And so I've been to many a bridal expo. I've actually modeled wedding dresses just like they did in that movie. And first of all, I would never model a wedding dress and show it to my husband, or I would never model a wedding dress I would potentially want to wear. Mm-hmm. I also, the amount of times Alexa Vega as a wedding coordinator was wearing stiletto heels whenever she was like coordinating weddings or even at the bridal expo. No, that is a big no-no. You have to be in comfort shoes. You're running around. You got to be ready to go. You're basically running a marathon. And so a lot of that just felt very unrealistic to me. And I love Alexa Vega. Spy Kids, love it. Big part of my childhood. Makes me feel all the warm and fuzzies. And so it was exciting to see her again. But I don't know if it was just because of whatever was happening behind the scenes of this movie or because just the lack of chem between her and Sean. I don't know. But I don't feel like she shined like she usually does shine.
I will admit, I have not seen Spy Kids.
Oh my gosh. I'm saying it here now. We are going to review Spy Kids at some point. I'm making Dylan watch it. Alan, it is incredible. The cast is wonderful. I mean, it is silly. But anyways, Spy Kids in the future, guys, get ready.
But I guess I don't know what to compare her performances to.
That was the other thing. Alexa Vega's character was not likable. Like, yes, I understand you are a wedding planner. And as somebody who has worked in wedding, like, there is a level of sales there. Obviously, the more money they spend, the more money you'll get. The more they use your vendors, the more you get. But at the end of the day, the best wedding planners really just want to listen to the couple and want what's best for the couple. And so I'm like, how is this chick the best wedding planner in this area? who she's like pissed off that they're like don't want to spend a lot of money. Like it's wild to me.
It really did feel like, honestly, like she was taking advantage of people and just saying, oh, it's for romance. You shouldn't compromise on your dreams. But it truly just felt like she was just trying to make them spend as much money as possible.
And they were
it felt slimy.
And she was so obsessed with them signing the contract, sign the contract, sign the contract. And I'm like, to the point where she was like chasing them around the expo. And I was like, girl, this is not how you make a sale. This is not. Like, it felt very weird. And wedding planners are not usually like that.
Good. They shouldn't be.
Good ones are not like that.
I will say something just felt off about a lot of this movie. And I don't know if it was the script not working. Sometimes I don't know if it was the performances not working, the editing. But basically nothing in this movie worked well for me, though. Now, that being said, that made me enjoy the movie. So this kind of, I feel like there's always that spectrum of movies where sometimes movies are, you're like, I didn't really care for it. And then sometimes you're like, oh, that was a bad movie. And sometimes you're like, that was a ridiculous movie to the point of me enjoying it because it was so ridiculous. And this movie actually is kind of getting close to that for me. I had visible bodily reactions to things that were happening on screen.
We had to rewind it because we were like, did we miss a scene? Because all of a sudden they jumped to this boat. And it was also right after they got in this big fight because like he essentially, like his friend bailed on the wedding that they were trying to coordinate together that he was trying to fix for her. And so I was just like, okay, they just got to fight. Now we're on this boat. Now what's happening? And we were like, did we miss the scene when they when they made up, when they fell in love? I don't know. And it was
I
gone.
can tell you, I rewatched this movie twice without you.
Who are
because
you?
I needed to
Who
know.
Are you?
This was such a puzzle to me. I needed to know. And no, we did not miss something. It is just the most unexpected conclusion to a movie that I think I've ever seen. Because honestly, I almost don't want to spoil it. I genuinely encourage people to watch this movie if they want to have a good time.
Are you talking about the phone call?
Oh my God, the phone.
The
No,
phone
I'm talking about the whole wedding.
Oh
the whole wedding is so unexpected. Everything about it. The phone call, frankly, the look of the wedding too. I mean, you were commenting, this is one of the worst looking weddings that we've seen.
Yes, it was like obviously like very sparse fake flowers. It was rough. And I'm like, again, it feels like something happened during the production of this movie. Somebody pulled their budget and they were like, well, we got to figure something out. And they probably just had a lot of stuff that they shot at the Bridal Expo. They're like, well, we have this boat, so that's all we can really do. Let's shoot in the parking lot for this other scene, and then let's call it a day and we can still finish this movie. I truly feel like something like that happened.
Yeah, well, they clearly must have spent all of their money on the Bridal Expo, I guess, because they spent 2/3 of the movie at that Bridal Expo. I honestly thought this was going to be like a one location escape from the Bridal Expo twist or something. It felt like that. Oh my gosh,
we were stuck in that Bridal Expo for so long. Also, the cake for the wedding was like this weird nautical. It was not cute, but there was pudding in it apparently because they say this saying so much that I remember it.
Oh yeah, the proof is in the pudding.
And the pudding's in the cake.
Yep. That is how they say that so many times.
Well, and also you watched it 3 times. Who are you?
No regrets. No regrets. Sorry, I have to bring up one more thing that did make me laugh out loud.
Yes.
So there's kind of this side couple that our wedding planner Libby and Ben are very invested in. And in many ways, this movie follows their love story because they're engaged, they're planning their wedding, and they're like, oh no, we should go cheaper. Oh no, we should go big budget. Oh no, our relationship just ended, but we'll get back together. The them getting back together scene. So it's mentioned earlier that they actually met at work and that they are coworkers.
Oh my God.
So the scene where they make up is in the middle of an office.
In her cubicle.
Yeah, the guy literally just walks out of his office to the cubicle, which, by the way, to clarify, clearly means that he's her superior and he's dating her, which, again, very concerning. And he just walks up to her in the cubicle and kisses her. There is no way this is work appropriate. Please, I don't care if you meet each other at work. There is no way it is appropriate to just make up by kissing your coworker and then for everyone else to applaud that. That is an HR violation. None of that, please.
Oh man! Again, lots of funny problems with this movie. But yes, it's ridiculous. And Dylan enjoyed a rewatch twice. So check it out. Check it out.
Yeah. Now, this does lead us to the thing that personally I have internally struggled with quite a bit, but I really want to know your thoughts. And that is, Keetin, how many marshmallows do you give this movie?
Oh, man. I give this movie 1 marshmallow.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
It was wild. It made no sense.
Now, so your marshmallow rating was
Is
1 marshmallow.
1 marshmallow.
I have to say, after watching this movie once, I probably would have also given it 1 marshmallow. Maybe even after my second rewatch. But after 3, I'm going to be honest, this has a special place in my heart now. It truly is a movie that I think I would enjoy watching again. Yes, that is primarily for laughs, but that is its own form of soft and squishy in my mind.
Oh,
where
wow.
I'm not saying this is some great movie or anything, but it ups it. I think I'm going to give it a whole 2 marshmallows.
Wow, wow,
now.
wow. Wow, wow, wow. It gained a whole additional marshmallow on 2 additional rewatches.
Double the marshmallows as I initially would have given it.
Wow. And I think the thing for us, and I think why I'm maybe a little bit bitter, is like we love Hallmark movies. We go into them being very excited. We know there's going to be sappiness. We know it's going to be a little silly, but like that's all part of the Hallmark brand and stuff. And so you have hope that it's going to like fix itself, even when you're like, oh, that was a little awkward or weird part. And this one never did. And it just let me down on so many levels. And I needed it to be a little bit better. They really misstepped and mismatched.
But enough about mismatched. Let's talk about something that is going to make us a little bit happier, and let's get to our guest.
Oh, I cannot wait.
When we come back, we will be interviewing Jonah Rodriguez, a real-life wedding planner, who I'm pretty confident that I can say is better at wedding planning than Libby was.
I mean, she was featured in People magazine, so I can only guess.
Wow. Stay tuned. Today on the podcast, we have wedding event extraordinaire Jonah Rodriguez. You are a wedding planner and videographer working in Southern California, and if my sources are correct, you just finished up at a bridal expo. We just watched a movie called Mismatched that was all about a wedding planner at a bridal expo where the theme was big wedding versus budget-friendly wedding. Maybe this movie was just trying to create an exciting bit of tension, but in your expert experience, can a dramatic and romantic wedding still be budget-friendly?
Of course, anything is possible as long as you have the right resources, the right people. My goal is to execute their vision. Okay. Realistically, I have to be transparent with everybody. You're going to be like, okay, I want something like this. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Your vision or your dream will cost this much, but I can give you an alternative that would fit your budget because I have to know first what your budget is. Then I'll give you realistically what would fit in that budget because I don't want to break your dream either, but I want to give you what's best, what I could possibly get for you. So my goal is simple, to materialize your vision as closest as possible to your dream by not breaking your budget.
Which
Simple.
is what makes you such a good wedding coordinator.
Yeah. And also, again, kind of shows how much of the movie that we watched just isn't really accurate at all.
Yeah, my biggest qualm on the movie we reviewed, Jonah, was like, this girl is not a good wedding planner because all she cares about is the money and how big their budget is. The best wedding planners, or at least how Jonah has shown me, is the best wedding planners care about making your dream come true within your budget. So that after that dream day is done, you're allowed to start off your dream marriage and not be like in debt.
Exactly. Here's the irony of it. Though I'm a wedding planner, and of course, the more money you put in your wedding, the more money I would get, my profit would be bigger. But I'm not like that. I would rather have you save all these savings or the discounts we get save it for your honeymoon. Splurge yourself. I mean, your Fiance will thank me after, trust me. But because you just want to splurge, right? Like every bride would want to splurge. It's the best days. But I don't want you waking up to your wedding after your wedding saying like, oh my God, I'm broke. You know, I want you to still be happy and say that was the best day of my life and I still have money for my honeymoon, you know? So that's, I think, what I want for everybody.
We planned our own wedding, and that was great. But like, that's my only experience with planning a wedding, really. So again, because it was something that was heavily featured in the movie we watched, I want to hear more. Like, what is a bridal expo like?
A bridal expo is an experience. Okay. It's something that I would recommend to all the couples to just experience it because when would you ever do that again? Right. So you go through all these booths. It's like attending, any normal expo, but this one is all about weddings. So you get to meet different vendors one on one. You get to see how they, like, okay, this is how they present themselves. This is how they sound. Like you kind of like see, like profile them in person, basically. And then you get ideas. It's part of research, but you're not forced to book right away. It's just to give you an idea. And then obviously when you're there, you get to see different oh, okay, that would look nice on my bride on my couple's table too. Like you get a lot of ideas for your own wedding as well. Oh, that's a good color. I didn't know that it could match. Like a purple and pink could match. Like so it's more visual because right now we're in this digital technology. Everyone is just online right now. It's also good to feel it, to feel the linens in person, to smell it, to talk to the DJ in person. It kind of gives you that experience, that making it feel real. So after the wedding expo, they all feel like overwhelmed. Oh my God, I don't know what to do, what to book. But at least it gave you like a shopping list of what are your choices. You have more choices basically. So it's good. It's good to attend a wedding expo. I highly recommend at least once. Don't attend 10 expos. At least attend one.
Believe me, if we wouldn't have gotten engaged in 2020, I would have brought you to a wedding expo. Even though
Yeah.
I've been to many and worked many.
Honestly, it sounds kind of like fun. I'm like, I know
Yeah.
we're not getting married, but should we still go to one? Because that sounds kind of
Uh-huh.
cool.
Jonah,
Yep.
you let us know your next wedding expo. Maybe I'll drag Dylan to it. Jonah, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into kind of the wedding industry, because that wasn't always your path.
Okay. This is a hell of a long story, so bear with me. I originally came from the Philippines. I moved in here 2008. And back home, I was an event coordinator for this golf clubhouse. So I would always have weddings there. So I managed their banquet. I was the one booking their events. So every day, almost every day, we have weddings, we have events. So I'm so used to it. But my educational background is actually accounting. So from accounting to wedding planning. Then I moved in to LA here, 2008. And I actually got married on that date, which is 888. And at that point, when I moved here, I didn't know anyone. I didn't even know how to drive around here. I know how to drive in the Philippines, but not here. So I had to learn everything from scratch. I had no resources, like I didn't know anyone as aside from my ex-husband. So I had to start everything from scratch. And initially, I was doing part time for an accounting firm, like just scanning their paperwork and stuff. But one day I had this call, and one of my ex's friends asked me, like, hey, can you help me organize my kid's birthday party or the 18th birthday? And I'm like, okay, sure. I used to do this for a living, might as well, right? And then everyone just started asking me, like, "Oh, you did her birthday party. Can you do mine?" I'm like, you know what? I used to get paid for this. I might as well get back into it because it's something that I could just do in like even when my eyes are closed. So I started getting back to it, and then of course I had to start with a pool of resources, a pool of vendors. That's the every wedding planner's asset is connection. Where could you get the cheapest, best quality linen? Where could you get the best supply of this? And who's the best on that one? Like this kind of service. So it's all about connection. So I started with that. And then maybe that's in 2008. And then 2009, 2010. One day, one of my brides came to me after her wedding. Like, telling me that she wasn't happy about her wedding film or her wedding video. I'm like, what's wrong? Because for some reason, all of my clients, they turn to be friends, to become my friends after. I just love checking on them anyway.
I mean, that
And
shows how caring and wonderful of a wedding
yeah,
planner
'cause
you are,
I
obviously.
thank you, thank you. I love connecting. For me, planning a wedding doesn't just stop there. Like it's a relationship. It's a building relationship. You know, I'm a part of the biggest day of your life. You might as well be a part of your life throughout, you know? So I treat my clients more than just clients. I really treat them, you know, as close as possible. And then there she called me after like, oh Jonah, oh my God, I'm crying. I thought it was like because she's so happy, but because she's so upset. I'm like, what's wrong, hon? Like, what's wrong? And like, I got my wedding video, and this is from another vendor, okay? And she wasn't happy about it. I'm like, this is not my vision because she had a very beautiful wedding. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong? And then she said, I just can't stand watching it again. So, all right, you mind sending it to me? I want to watch it, you know? So I watch it and I'm like, it could be better. It could be better. Okay. And at this time, I asked her, would you have access to the raw footage? I'm like, I can find a way. And then she's like, why? Or like, send it to me and I'll see what I can do about it. Okay. And here, truth be told, when I moved here from the Philippines to LA, originally, I really wanted to be in the Hollywood industry. Because if you're from out of the US, like everyone's dream is just to be not necessarily in the movies, but just be a part of it. So I wanted to be like in the production. I wanted to be like part of the action, like even in post production, you know? So it's my dream, but I didn't have a background. I don't know anything about it. I just want to be in it. So guess what? I get the raw footage, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do something about this. I studied post editing from scratch. I bought this book, Final Cut Pro for Dummies. I studied it for 1 week, watched a bunch of YouTube tutorials, and then I edited it to like a 15-minute cut, right? Because I have a vision, like I know what a good wedding video would look like, but I just need the tools to properly cut it. You know, and I didn't realize it's not just the video, it's also audio editing. Like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But then again, I just really focused on it and I edited it, sent it to her. And then next thing I know, she's calling me like, Jonah, I just watched my wedding video. Whatever you're doing, drop it. Focus on this. Like, you're so good at this, Jonah. You have no idea. And then I'm like, oh my God, I love this. And then everything there, it was just like a sign, like, oh my God, I can do this. So I started calling my brides, my old clients, hey, I'm just checking on you. And are you happy with your wedding video? I'm gonna cut it for free down to 5 minutes, you know, like just to kind of like practice on it. Next thing I know, like my bestseller is the video. Like on top of that, they started asking me, these clients, like, do you also do photography? Because it comes with it. And so I started with getting, you know, outsourced photographers and like join me. And of course, I had a bunch of like lead photographers. And eventually I learned it too. So now I feel like I can do anything, like from coordination to photography to videography to drone to same day edits. I learned them all. Yeah, whatever is like missing, I'll fill it in.
That is one of the things that I had never seen until I had worked with you, which I was lucky enough to work with Jonah back in the day as one of her coordinators and assistant coordinators. And there were many weddings that we did together. But one of the really cool things that is shocking that you can do are these one-day edits. And you
Oh
know, a
my
lot
God.
of times you have your wedding and they take all the footage and you don't really see anything. You might get like a quick like TikTok edit, like maybe the next day or like the next week. But Jonah, she literally gets the footage live while it's happening. She's importing it. She's sitting in a room by herself, editing it. So at the end of your ceremony, all of your guests and you and your groom get to sit and watch it live together, what you all just had experienced that day. And it is the wildest thing I have ever seen, and it's just incredible the quality of an edit that you can put out in the speed that you do it. I've never seen it from anybody else before, Jonah.
And now I'm proud to say I'm not just the only same day editor in my team. I now have 3, 4, and I'm slowly building my, this is my same day edit, crew. And I'm just loving it because it's something different that we can offer to our clients. Like everyone asks me, so what makes you stand out from, like, kind of like what makes you different? Like this, we can produce this. It's our unique selling point.
Keetin said, oh, maybe there's some that do a Instagram reel or something the next day. I literally have never heard of anyone getting any video from their wedding less than a month after the wedding. So same day is truly impressive. And I have to imagine one thing that might give you that advantage is if you're planning the wedding too, you know the details that are important. You kind of know how the flow is going to go. So you're probably so much more ready to edit it.
Dylan, I'm glad that you touched that portion because when people ask like, so how would you plan my wedding and shoot it at the same time and do the editing? So it takes a village. Okay. I would be a part of the whole wedding planning process. I'm going to be a wedding planner for sure. But on the wedding day, I would have my coordinators like Keith. Okay. You execute the plan. On the day of the wedding, I have a team. I have a team of photographers. I have my team of videographers. But right after ceremony, I sit down. I kind of like have this leave me alone zone. I'm gonna go to Mars.
We used to like bring you food and just set it next to you and be like, Jonah, don't forget to eat.
Yes, that's all they do. Like feed me, like, or get me a boba. This is my energy drink. And next thing I know, after 3, 4 hours, that's it. I come up with something like, whoa. I myself, like, honestly, when people ask, how do you do it? Like, I could say I just put my heart and soul into each and every one of it.
I love it.
Yeah.
You feel that when you watch your wedding videos too. You do.
I feel so content. Like, oh my God. Like, because I know it will make them so happy.
Yeah.
And it's something that I could share and down to their, I don't know how many generations, but that's a legacy for me.
Oh.
I love that. And I think, as you probably already know, December is the most popular month to get engaged. So there's probably a lot of newly engaged couples out there just starting on their wedding planning journey. What advice would you have for them?
Research. Do your research. People don't understand this. Like when you come, let's say, to talk to photographers or videographers, you'll be shocked. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they're charging 4,000, 5,000. Like, my budget is this. Like, hon, do your research because your budget would fit in 2000, not 2025. Like things have changed. And I understand it. They don't know. They wouldn't know this until they start planning their wedding. Like you wouldn't know that a wedding dress could cost $5,000 to $10,000. No one would know that until they start scouting, right? Because initially, the wrong conception about weddings is, okay, I have $25,000. I'm ready to get married. But then the vision is like Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, like things like that. And this, for example, this whole 25,000 would just go straight to the reception. Oh, I already booked my venue. I spent 23,000 on it and my budget is 25. Like, gee, like, honey, you're forgetting the rest. That's just half. That's just half of the entirety of it. You're forgetting you still need a DJ, you still need flowers, you still need photos. Like, my first suggestion for every client is get a consultation from a wedding planner. It's free. At least get a consultation. For me, getting a wedding planner is like getting a lawyer to represent yourself, to give you guidance of what to do next. And I offer that. I give free consultation to anyone that's getting married on the phone or on call. Like, at least give you some guidance because it's your first time to get married and hopefully it's your last. So I don't expect you to know everything, but at least talk to a professional, someone who has done it, so it's like that would at least give you some clarity.
So obviously, and I think we know this having firsthand experience within the wedding industry, you and I, Jonah, but then also I know that the wedding industry kind of has a weird, sometimes some negativity around it because a lot of people are like, oh, the moment you like stamp wedding on something, it increases the price like $5,000. But like, what do you love most about the wedding industry and about working in this industry?
Okay. What I love about my job is I get to witness real love stories. It's not the money, it's not the material things, it's not the extravagance. It's just witnessing real love story. remember I told you I wanted to be in the Hollywood movie production.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I know now why I didn't get in, because I'm really set for this. Because I noticed the Hollywood movie production, they have scripts, they have fake stories, they have, like, yeah, you act on something that, whether you like it or not, this is your script, you got to do the job. And even as an editor, I feel like I just have more creative control on what I do now. I plan, I film, I edit it, but all I do is just materialize their story. And it's nice to see that. It's nice to see that in people, that true love exists. Because I could also tell which ones are fake. But to see, and yeah, I could see like, okay, this one is forced, this one is pressured, this one is like. But I feel like before planning a wedding, make sure you have a good foundation first. You have a good foundation of your relationship, because you're not just planning a wedding here, you're getting into marriage. The wedding is just a celebration of it. Think about that. Like, I always ask, I almost want to say, go talk to a marriage counselor first before talking to me. Are you sure about this? Like, because Dylan, I don't know if I've shared with you my story, and I'm gonna share with you. I've gone through a couple of divorces already, and it's kind of ironic that why am I still doing this? Why am I still planning weddings? You know, for a simple fact that I just love. I just believe in it. It goes away, but it comes back. I just don't lose faith, you know? I keep moving forward. I move forward with my life. And oh my God, it's making me emotional. But
Oh.
I have a son. I have an 8-year-old son. And my goal is just to give him the best life possible. And this is my passion, planning weddings, just being in weddings. This is my passion. So I will do everything for him. He's my goal. So I feel like it doesn't matter what I go through in my life, as long as I continually do my passion, I think I'll be okay with it. You know? So yeah, I'm not encouraging people to go through a divorce, okay? But I'm just saying sometimes you fall.
Mm-hmm.
But what's more important is how you get back up there.
Absolutely. Oh, Jonah, I have
Yeah.
chills. I have chills. Thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable
Yeah,
with
yeah.
us.
Because I feel like, if I share these stories, I inspire other people. Like,
Yeah,
if she did it, I could do it too.
absolutely.
So earlier you said that one of the things you like about working in the wedding industry is that you essentially are producing the real version of what Hollywood movies portray. And I love
Yes.
that idea. If someone else hears that and they're like, oh, maybe I should think about getting into the wedding industry. It sounds like it's been so meaningful to you. What would you say to someone who might be interested in getting into the wedding industry?
Okay. Yesterday, just didn't talk to brides. I talked to two potential coordinators. They want to be my coordinator. And honestly, that's my joy. I love helping. I have some shooters that came here from the Philippines, and they didn't have any work permit yet. They didn't even have a driver's license, but I adopt them. I love working with people who start from scratch because I see myself in them. Like, I wish that someone was there for me too. While I was scrambling with my life, what to do. Like, I just need the right connection, because I didn't have it in the beginning. I literally started from scratch, finding my way through. So I feel like I want to help. So when I build someone, when I help someone, it gives me so much fulfillment and so much joy. And I'm gonna share with you, I have shooters that call me when they first get their car, like, thank you, Miss Jones. Thank you, Miss Jones. I couldn't have done this without you. And I didn't know that I impacted their lives like that. Like, now they have their own apartment, their own house in the Philippines. Like, they're building their lives. I feel like, oh my God, there's more into this. I'm not just, giving them a job. I'm just actually giving them a life. And being a coordinator, it has to come from you. I cannot push you to become a wedding coordinator unless it's in you. So my goal is just to nourish that and give you the right tools. So if I make you a successful wedding planner, then I feel successful too. Because for me, being successful is making someone successful.
Oh, you're so giving, Jonah. Oh, I love it. I love it so much.
Our last episode, we interviewed someone who does choreography and, like, specifically now does dance choreography for first dances at weddings. And she talked about how her Filipino background was one of the reasons she got into dance is because in the Philippines, dance is a big part of celebrations. And she wanted to help bring that expressing your joy through dance to weddings. And
Yeah.
I feel like I'm hearing kind of something similar from you in a lot of ways, where it seems like your Filipino heritage and culture does kind of inspire a lot of wanting to share this joy with others. Do you feel like there is something about the Filipino culture that really brings out this wanting to celebrate joy and love more?
I have a perfect answer for that. Have you seen a hospital without any Filipinos in it in America? And there's a reason. Because Filipinos by nature, we're very caring and hospitable. That's why we work in hospitals. No. More on hospitals and hotels. We love caring. We're after the people all the time. We're not after the hours. We just really want the best to give you, to care for you. So it adds that if you have a Filipino vendor, that's why most of my shirters are Filipinos too, is because they just care. They just care about the work. They just care about the client. It's all about caring.
And it's so genuine too. Like in person too. Like you don't even know. Like Jonah's like the most warm and fuzzy human being ever. You are such an incredible mentor. If you have a chance for Jonah, like I don't even work in weddings anymore, but you have helped me get to where I am. And I do work in Hollywood, but I don't think I would be where I am today as a producer had I not worked with Jonah as one of her coordinators. Like
Wait, I'm so proud of
truly.
you.
Like
So proud.
I'm so lucky that you've been a part of my life. I'm so lucky that you are still a part of my life. This kind of leads me into my next question. We do a thing on the show, Jonah, where we talk about our hot cocoa, and we do it a weekly hot cocoa of like something that fills you with joy. Do you have any hot cocoa that you personally would like to share?
You call it hot cocoa. I'll call it cold boba for me. Since you've mentioned that, my sister, who's from the Philippines, she visited me just recently. She actually just flew back to the Philippines last Friday. She and her fiance, Jessica and Adrian. So they were here for 3 weeks. We kind of got disconnected for over a year. Yeah, family issues. But we reconnected, and this whole time that I was not talking to her, it felt like I just felt like a little incomplete because here I am being with friends, but she's my closest family, and being with her, and we went to so many places, to Big Bear, to Vegas, to Hawaii. We just came from Hawaii. It was like a real family trip. And it kind of reminded me of the essence of family. I don't have family here. All my family, they're in the Philippines. My crew, my team, they're my family. But it hits different when you're actually with your real family. It's just something that you can't take out. Like, it's just that joy, fulfillment that I feel home. So that would be my latest cocoa or boba. I think. Because I really felt so happy that she was here. And it felt like I felt whole again. Because life is so short. Anything could happen. A fire could happen, you know? You wouldn't know when you're going to be talking to this person again. So make each day count. Don't waste anything.
Thank you for that. Ugh. Well, I'm so glad you got to see your sister, and I'm so glad, even with all that family joyfulness happening, you still like were able to come to an interview with us. That's so amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I just really want to, be a good source of inspiration to everyone. And I hope, I contribute something good, something that you can use in your life.
A little bit of hot cocoa or cold boba for everybody from Jonah. And if people want to potentially reach out to you to coordinate their wedding, do their videography, how can they reach you and how can they look at your kind of portfolio and stuff?
Ooh. So we have you can check us on Instagram at 888prod, 888prod. Our website is www.888prod.com. Again, 888, the number 8.
I love it. Well, and tell us why 8, Jonah, because I know this, but tell us why the number 8.
I love 8 so much. Aside from the fact that it was my original wedding date, 888, August 8, 2008. I love the meaning of it, which is infinity. It's love. Like it's beyond. I feel like it's connected to the universe. And I'm so into universe. I so believe in it. So yeah, that's number 8 for me.
Well, thank you so much, Jonah, for taking the time and, giving us so much amazing advice and telling us your story. You are such an inspiring person, and anybody would be lucky to have you in their lives or as their wedding planner.
That was Jonah Rodriguez, and thank you so much for listening to episode 5 of Channeling Hallmark. I have been your host, Dylan Cashpaw.
And I'm your other host, Keetin Markey. Make sure to follow us on all of the social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky, at Channeling Hallmark. Subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And also, we're on Letterboxd, so I'm sure we gave some fun reviews to Mismatched on that. I'm at Keetin, and Dylan's at DP Cashpaw.
And we hope you keep channeling Hallmark throughout your week.
Stay cozy. Bye-bye.
Channeling Hallmark is an independently produced podcast and is neither sponsored nor sanctioned by Hallmark or any other entity. Thank you for listening.